the National Transmission Company of South Africa was officially launched on Monday and is already working. This is Eskom's new subsidiary and is part of the developments over the years to unbundle the power utility. There is, of course, a lot of work that lies ahead. Let's discuss this further now. Segomoco Scheppers, NTCSA's Interim CEO, joins us live now. Good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. I mean, as you take over the transmission network, I wonder, what has been top of the agenda?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, indeed, there's quite a lot of work to do going ahead. There's probably 2 or 3 key priorities that we are pursuing. One relates to the need to expand the transmission network. We have a network of around 33,000 kilometers, and in the next 10 years, we need to increase that by roughly 40%, an addition of some 14,000 kilometers. So this is a significant lot of new networks that we need to build and invest in the building. Secondly, we are required in terms of the Electricity Regulation Amendment Act that was recently assented in August of this year to set up a market operator, which is a function that will provide platforms for generators to compete for the power they wish to sell and for customers to be able to procure the power they need through that platform. And then third, there are several other obligations on the part of the company that flow from the new act. One of which is the importance for the entity to operate independently and in due course to be a standalone company altogether.
And looking at this 14,000 kilometer, of new transmission lines that now need to come into place, as you've just taken us through that, how do you plan on doing this? And it certainly sounds like a mammoth task.
It is, absolutely. There is work in progress already. Because this is linear infrastructure and there's several laws that regulate the activities, we have to do a lot of upfront work in terms of undertaking environmental impact assessments, which include consultations with the communities where these lines will be built and the new substations. We have to engage with the landowners to ensure that we have the permission, both from the state as a land owner and obviously private landowners, for us to be able to traverse through their property. And that can be a long process, and we are looking for ways to make it more efficient. But ultimately, we need to ensure that whatever we are proposing to do is technically sound, that it is compliant with the grid code under NESA, from an investment point of view and also from a technical point of view, that what we are doing is a necessary and appropriate investment to make in order to build this infrastructure.
And of course, this comes at a time when we've seen grid access, for example, becoming a huge issue, with some independent power producers raising concerns about this very issue, but also citing challenges with plugging into the existing networks. How are you planning to work around this one?
Absolutely. So this is really part of a legacy of our historical configuration of the network. As you know, where we stand today, the bulk of the power comes from our coal fleet, which is largely located in the northeast and the northwest of the country. And we have a strong network that brings that power down to Gauteng and then further down to the other parts of the country. Where we are moving to is where a lot of the new renewables are actually coming and being developed in the south of the country, where we have a very limited network. So a lot of the work that is being done is to expand the network into those areas. And part of looking to fast track the ability to connect more capacity is to, in fact, expand some of the existing substations by adding additional transformers and other necessary equipment from a technical point of view, which we hope will be able to shorten the time. We'll be able to have capacity to connect additional new generation, especially renewable generation from IPPs. And while we are doing that, we are also conducting the necessary activities to also roll out the longer lead time activities such as that will result in us building new transmission lines.
And of course, again, this is happening when there's a big debate currently, affordability, when it comes to electricity. A lot of people still raising concern about this issue. So now you have to navigate that, but also ensure that you are financially viable as an entity. How do you begin to marry the two?
Yeah, it's a tricky question indeed, but a very important one. So if one looks at the total tariff for electricity, you will find that the transmission component accounts for roughly 10%. So it's not the majority of the tariff that is attributable to transmission. So we are hoping that we can obviously get some agreement with the regulator, in particular that tariff may have to increase somewhat, in particular to allow us to be able to fund and invest in this new expansion that is required. The second part around affordability is that if you look at the medium to long term, you will find that historically, in the last 10 years or so, the cost of renewables has reduced significantly. So if that cost competitiveness of the renewables is sustained, it means by us being able to connect more renewables should contribute in the medium term to actually reducing the cost of electricity.
Quite an interesting road lies ahead. Interested to see how things unfold in that regard as well. But thank you so much for this conversation. That's the Segomoco Scheppers, NTCSA Interim CEO.